Okay, so lesson 2. Another day, another lesson. Alright, so in your grammar book, you need to be on page 126, and the heading is compound subject. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this sort of thing. It's not that hard. Alright, so when you have two subjects, another word for that is a compound subject, and they're joined by and, that's going to be plural because you're talking about one thing and another thing, which makes more than one thing. So it would be plural and would take a plural verb. But when you have two subjects that are joined by or nor, that's actually singular because you're choosing one or the other. And my example is this. When Max or Marley loads the dishwasher, I will be happy. See, I don't care who does it, just as long as one person does it. So in this case, it's Max. So notice that you've got when one person or the other one does it, you're going to have something singular. And that's why loads is singular. When Max loads it or Marley loads it, I will be happy. Either way, just as long as one person does it. All right, but when you have something plural, ooh, I don't know if this is going to show up. Look, you can see ourselves. Here we go. That's better. When Max and Marley load the dishwasher, I will be happy. Two people are doing it, so you need something plural. And that's why load is plural in this one. Okay, see the difference? And is something plural or something singular. All right, well, there's one more little thing that you got to understand, and that's when you've got a mixed subject, when one is singular and one is plural. And an example for that's on 127. Neither the children nor their mothers were ready. Actually, that's both plural. Hold on. Neither the children nor their mother was ready. And if you look at that example, which is on the top of page 127, you see that children is one part of your subject and mother is another. Since mother is the one closest to your verb, you have to go with whatever that is. Since mother's singular, you want a singular verb. In another example, I've just swapped them. Neither the mother nor the children were ready for the trip. So in this case, you've got children closest to your verb. So when you have a mixed bag, when you've got one thing that's singular and one thing that's plural in a compound subject, you go with the one that's closest to the verb. Okay? So what I want you to do is with your sub, do exercise 6 on 127 orally. And then in your doc, I want you to do exercise B, and that'll be there with instructions. So have fun, and I'll see you in a few. All right, back for more. The next little bit from this chapter comes from page 130. And this is all about collective nouns. And collective nouns are really weird because they can be either singular and or plural depending on how they're being used and what the sentence means. A couple of examples. You can find some examples of collective nouns at the bottom of 129, but I'm going to use the word class to demonstrate what's going on here. The first example is this. You can have a sentence like this. Ooh, hold on. There we go. The class have completed their projects. Do you see how class is a collective noun? Because it's a bunch of different people in one area. And in this case, they're using a plural verb because several different people have completed projects. So individual groups have completed projects, or individuals themselves have completed projects. So you've got a bunch of different people, which makes it plural. The class have completed their projects. Sounds really weird because you don't hear it said like that very often. Now, in this other example, I have class as a singular thing. The class has selected its officers. In that sense, the meaning of the sentence indicates that the class as one group, singular, has selected several officers to represent them, a president and a vice president in my picture. So in that case, since you've got one group, one entity selecting another some officers. You've got a singular verb. Now, you're going to almost have to make a picture in your head to see what the sentence means, and that's kind of why I've drawn it out for you here. So whenever you're dealing with collective nouns like class or group or, army, audience, any of those words that are listed at the bottom of 129, you really need to make sort of a mental picture or draw it out to see what the sentence means. Okay, so up to a little interpretation, but I think you'll probably get it if you make some pictures in your head like I've done here. All right, the second thing that you've got to get from this section is that when you're talking about amounts like dollars or fractions or percentages, those can be singular or plural too, depending on how the sentence goes. So I could say $4 are on the table, because that means 1, 2, 3, $4 bills are on the table. I could also say $10 is on the table. And in that case, I mean one $10 bill, not separate $1 bills. So again, the picture is what helps you figure it out. When you're talking about percentages, 15% of the group, you have to go by, and all of this is sort of right here on page 131. You go by what the sentence means. So let's see. Let's talk about pizza for a second. If I said 50% of the pizza is gone, what am I referring to? Pizza. A fraction of the pizza is gone. So since I'm referring to something that's singular, I use a singular verb. 3/10 of the pizza is gone. Again, I'm referring to the pizza. I know I've told you not to use prepositional phrases to help you figure out whether or not something is singular and plural, but in the sense of percentages and fractions, you're going to need to do that. Also, they throw in this little rule. If you have a word that ends in ix, like ICS, like politics, mathematics, those are all singular words, even though the word itself ends in an S and looks like it's plural. One other little rule is that sometimes plural words, again, are actually singular, and even words that appear to be collective nouns. So, for example, the news is boring. News sounds like it should be plural because it ends with an S, but it's not. Another thing, macaroni and cheese is good. Well, yeah, it's connected with an and I just got through telling you that two words connected by and is plural, or plural, take a plural verb. But in this case, mac and cheese is one thing. So you actually have to use a singular verb. Words like scissors, the scissors are on the table. Even though scissors is actually one thing, it ends in S, you still have to use a plural word there. So scissors is sort of weird. Pants is another word that's weird. The pants are on the table. Yeah, pants are just one thing, right? One thing, but you treat it as if it's plural. It's sort of weird, I guess, because it's got two parts. Anyway, okay. And then the last rule is this. If you've got a title or something and it appears to be plural or is connected by and, it's still a singular thing because it's talking about one work of art or one piece of literature. So if I said Romeo and Juliet is a neat play, I don't really think it is. I think it's kind of boring. But you hear the and in there, and if you were going straight by the rules, you would say plural. But since Romeo and Juliet is one work of literature, then you treat it as something singular. Green Sleeves, it's a song, in case you haven't heard of it. Sounds plural, and but since it's one song, you treat it as something singular. So works of art, works of literature, even if they are plural, they actually have singular verbs. And one last thing, you're gonna miss this 1,000 times if you don't hear me now. When you have a sentence that starts with, you ready for this? Many a. You don't hear that very often. It's very old-fashioned. But when you have a sentence that starts with many a, guess what? It's singular because a is a singular and a singular article. So many a litter bug has been thrown in jail. Singular. Many a. Because of the a. A is always a singular thing. You won't hear anybody say it except for some, dinosaurs or whatever, but it's singular. So, rule. All right, so that's the end of lesson 2. I hope you learned a lot. Now I want you to go and do some practicing. I'm going to look over here and get some page numbers for you, and then I want you and your sub to go through these orally, and then I'll give you some exercises in your doc to do on your own. All of them will be graded, and I'll be peeking in and checking in with you through those things. So look for my comments and look for your grades. Okay, so orally, I would like for you guys to do review exercise C on page 132. I would also like for you to do oral practice 2 on page 133. And in your doc, you're going to be doing on your own exercise 9 and review D. Alrighty, catch you later.